Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Let us chant one round of japa with Srila Prabhupada. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna Ram Hare Krishna Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्रीमद् भगवद गीता एज इट इज की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to today's Srimad Bhagavatam for all session. Let us recite Bhagavad Gita Shloka. We are reciting from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 15, text 5. If anyone needs to go first, please raise your hand. Okay, then we'll go in order. Achit Priya Mataji. Aditi Lata Mataji and Arunita.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept my humble obeisances, Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Mataji, if you remove the synonyms, then everything will come in one page.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay.
Yeah. Nirmanam. Hare Krishna, Mataji, please.
Nirmanamoha jita sangha dosha.
I said, did I say, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Oh, you said already. Please accept my humble obeisances. All
Okay.
glories to Srila.
Okay. Nirmanamoha jita sangha dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama dvandvair vimukta sukha dukha samyair gachanti amudha padam avyayam tat. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Arunita is not available right now.
Okay. Inba Inia, Jai Shri Mataji, Jai Ganesh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
निर्माणमोहाजित संगदोषा अध्यात्म नित्या विनिवृत्त कामा द्वंद्वे विमुक्ता सुख दुःख संज्ञै गच्छन्त्य मूढ़ा पदमव्ययम् तत्. Translation: Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom.
Inia.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
निर्माणमोहाजितसङ्गदोषा अध्यात्मनित्या विनिवृत्तकामाः द्वन्द्वैर्विमुक्ता सुखदुःखसंज्ञैर्गच्छन्त्यमूढाः पदमव्ययम् तत्. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who unbewildered know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom.
Yeah. Mataji Prabhuji are there?
No, Mataji.
Isha.
Nirvana jata sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama dvandvair vimukta sukha dukkha sangir gacchantya mudha padam avyayam tat. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom.
Krishna Ashish. Madhav. Rasapriya.
निर्माणमोहाजितसङ्गदोषा अध्यात्मनित्या विनिवृत्तकामा द्वन्द्वैर्विमुक्ता सुखदुःखसंज्ञैर्गच्छन्त्यमूढा पदमव्ययम् तत्. Those who are freed from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom.
Priyanka Haripriya Mataji. Not able to recite. Saujanya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all goes to Srila Prabhupada and greetings to the assembled devotees.
Dandavat Pranam Mataji. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Nirmana moha jita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama vande vimukta sukha dukkha samne gachanti amudha padam avyayam tat. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal peace. Mataji, this
Yeah.
shloka, the meter, the very first day when you said, we were able to catch it. Not all shlokas we are able to catch that meter, Mataji.
Okay.
I don't know why. We feel very satisfied when we read like how you say, but I don't know. I really cannot remember. But thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Pragnya is there?
No, Mataji.
Okay. Achyut Priya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada, Jai Guru Maharaj. All glories
Dandavat
to
Pranam
the
Mataji. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Yes, Mataji.
निर्माणमोहाजितसङ्गदोषा अध्यात्मनित्या विनिवृत्तकामः द्वन्द्वे विमुक्ता सुखदुःखसंज्ञे गच्छन्ति अमृतपदम् अव्ययम् तत्. Translation Papa given by Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation: those who are free from false prestige, illusion and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom. Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Narsimha Leela Chaitanya Prabhu.
Krishna Dandavat Pranam, all goes to Prabhupada.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhu. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
निर्माणमोहा जितसङ्गदोषा आध्यात्मनित्या विनिवृत्तकामा द्वन्द्वैर्विमुक्ता सुखदुःखसंज्ञैर्गच्छन्ति आमूढपादम् अव्ययम् तत्. Translation by Stephen Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal and who are done with the material lust, and who are freed from dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto Supreme Person, attain to the eternal kingdom. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Not there. Okay. Anyone else? Did everyone recite? I'll recite. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is. Chapter 15, text 5. Nirmana moha jita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama dvandvair vimukta sukha dukkha sangyair gacchantya mudha padamavyayam tat. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion and false association, who understand the eternal, who are free from material lust, who are free from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender to the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal abode, eternal kingdom. Okay. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Go ahead.
निर्माणमोहाजितसङ्गदोषा अध्यात्मनित्या विनिवृत्तकामा
निवृत्तकामा द्वन्द्वे विमुक्ताः सुखदुःखसंज्ञैर् गच्छन्त्यमूढपदम् अव्ययम् तत्. Those are free from false prestige, illusion, and translation. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Spurti.
निर्मानमोहाजितसङ्गदोषा आध्यात्मनित्या विनिवृत्तकामा वन्देर्विमुक्ता सुखदुःखसंज्ञैर्गच्छन्ति आमूढपदम् अव्ययम् तत्. Translation. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from dualities of happiness and distress, and who are unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. All done. Let's read Srimad Bhagavatam. Madhava, you're going to read? You're going to recite? No? Okay. Your hand is still raised. Spurti, are you done? Is Mataji going to recite? Maybe from before.
Mataji.
Okay. All right. Let's read Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 1, The Advent of Lord Krishna, Introduction. We completed the chapter, but we are reading some commentaries of Acharyas at the end of the chapter. So let's continue. It's Inba's turn today. Yes, Inba. So we were reading about that verse, Nivrittatarshaya Rupagiyamana. That verse we were reading. So now continue. Yes, Inba. Although the sound vibration.
Yes, Mataji. Although the sound vibration of the transcendental qualities of the Lord is equally beneficial to all, for those who are muktas, liberated, it is especially pleasing. As described in Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th canto, 3rd chapter, verse 20, because pure devotees who no longer have any material desires surrender fully to the lotus feet of the Lord, they always merge in the ocean of bliss by chanting and hearing the Lord's holy name. According to this verse, devotees like Narada and other residents of Shweta Dvipa are seen always engaged in chanting the holy name of the Lord, because by such chanting they are always externally and internally blissful. The mumukshus, persons desiring to be liberated, do not depend on the pleasures of the senses. Instead, they concentrate fully on becoming liberated by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Karmis like to create something pleasing to their ears and hearts. And although they sometimes like to chant or hear the glories of the Lord, they do not do it openly. Devotees, however, always spontaneously hear, chant about, and remember the activities of the Lord. And by this process, they are fully satisfied, even though they may seem like topics of sense gratification. Simply by hearing the transcendental narrations of the Lord's activities, Parikshit Maharaj was liberated. He was therefore Srotra Mano Birama. That is, he glorified the process of hearing. This process should be accepted by all living entities.
Yes, wonderful. So we are still reading about that same verse. So there it is said, Bhavaushadhat Shrotra Manobhiramat, right? So that means it's very pleasing to the ears. What is very pleasing? This medicine. What is that medicine? Upagiyamanat, glorifying what? The Supreme Lord, Uttama Shloka, right? This is very pleasing to the ears and the heart. Then in the previous paragraph, we had read that there are three types of people who actually glorify the Lord. You have the devotees, you have the mumukshus who are desiring liberation, and you have the karmis. All three are actually hearing the glories of the Lord, but the mood is different. Why each one is glorifying? The devotee is glorifying because yesterday we read to remain on the transcendental platform. When he is glorifying the Lord, when he is hearing about the Lord, it keeps him on the transcendental platform. So he endeavors to do that. So that would be, uh, you know, a sadhana bhakta who is endeavoring to do that. But then there is another level of devotees, like we are reading in today's paragraph. They get so much pleasure, so much taste. They don't get taste in anything else. So they cannot stop. Again and again, they're continuously doing it. So these are the devotees who have crossed, right, anartha nivritti nishta stages. They are getting a taste now, ruchi and asakti and bhava, right? These devotees, they get so much pleasure, they cannot stop glorifying the Lord. Internally and externally, they're getting so much pleasure, they cannot stop. But those who are desiring liberation, they chant. So let's read what is said here by the acharyas. The mumukshus, they desire liberation, so they are not doing it because it's giving them pleasure. Interesting, huh? For the devotees, it's giving pleasure internally and externally. Externally also, it's giving pleasure. Internally also, bhava, right? They're relishing it so much, hearing the glories of the Lord. So because of that relishing, they cannot stop. They cannot stop. And of course, this pleasure is not material pleasure, right? This is transcendental. But the mumukshus, they are not depending. The mumukshus are not depending on the pleasures of the senses, whether it is the mind or anything else. They are not depending on the pleasures. Then why they are chanting? Are they chanting because it's pleasing? No. They are chanting because they want to become liberated. That's why, right? They concentrate fully on becoming liberated by chanting the holy name of the Lord. That's all. Not because it's pleasing, or it doesn't matter whether it's pleasing or not, because their meditation is, I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul, right? And then their understanding of the spirit soul is, it's Brahman, then Brahman without any attributes. So they are actually practicing to make themselves impervious, unaffected by any types of happiness or distress. They make their hearts like stone. So they are not hearing the glories of the Lord because it's going to give them pleasure, but they are doing it simply to become liberated. But nevertheless, they are also chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord. What about karmis? Karmis still have a desire for material pleasure, right? They still enjoy material pleasures. They like nice music, they like nice food and comforts in this world, sense gratification. These are karmis. They also get pleasure in hearing Krishna's glories, but it is not continuous for them. Karmis like to create something pleasing to their ears and hearts. Sometimes they watch some movies, and sometimes they hear Krishna Katha, right? Wherever it gets, it's pleasing, they'll do that, like that. So karmis like to create something pleasing to their ears and hearts, and although they sometimes, that's the point, right? Sometimes, not anukulyena krishnanushilanam jnana karmadhyanavritam, that does not happen, right? So uh, I didn't use the big one. So their their hearing is, sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't do it. Right? When it is when you like to, when it is pleasing, right? When you like to do, when it is pleasing to your heart, you do. And if you think, no, I'm not feeling the taste now, you leave this and then you do something else. This is a karmi. This is a karmi. He also gets pleasure, but not continuous pleasure. Little bit here, and then if you get, he gets some, because it's about immediate pleasure for the senses. It has to be very pleasing to the senses immediately. So there is no commitment. There is no commitment. That is why, uh, you know, and then sahajiyas means they imitate that they have taste, but they don't have that taste, but they imitate it, right? They are actually really like karmis, but they imitate that they have taste. So therefore, the standard procedure is first you go through the Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, where you have to first develop that faith, and even if you don't get that taste, still you make that commitment, whether you feel like doing it or you don't feel like doing it. You make a vow, you take a vow and you do it, right? And by doing it, then you start developing taste. Then you cannot give it up, right? That's the standard method. Of course, there are some exceptions. Some devotees who are already, right in the beginning, they're already on the Raganuga platform. They may not need to go through this path, but that's extremely rare. That's why that's not even discussed in detail by Srila Rupa Goswami. He just mentions it. Yes, there is also that, uh, you know, those devotees who don't even need to go through this, the Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. Very extremely rare, virala. So that's not even discussed. So the general procedure is follow the rules and regulations systematically, cultivate, right? By that, eventually you'll get that taste. But if you act like sometimes I feel like doing, I do it, and I don't feel like doing, I don't do it, then that falls in the category of karmis. Karmis like to create something pleasing to their ears and hearts, and although they sometimes like to chant or hear the glories of the Lord, they do not do it openly. Devotees, however, always spontaneously. So spontaneous means now it has to be spontaneous devotional service, right? They spontaneously hear, chant about, and remember the activities of the Lord. Remember, like I said, like a pendulum. You have to really force your heart to come out of that to do some duties of this world. The mind, the heart is always going back to Krishna for those devotees, for those spontaneous devotees. Their hearts are always absorbed in Krishna. Yeah. And by this process, they are fully satisfied, even though these may seem like topics of sense gratification, right? To a karmi, it appears like, like loving affairs between Krishna and the gopis. They also take pleasure because, and they also see other love affairs between uh, materialistic people. So to them, it seems like sense gratification, but actually it is not, right? This is on the transcendental platform. So the devotees are fully satisfied by hearing the qualities, pastimes, names of Krishna. Simply by hearing the transcendental narrations of the Lord's activities, Parikshit Maharaj was liberated. So there are different limbs of bhakti. The first one is Shravanam. Even if one followed this one limb of simply hearing, you can get perfection. But you have to do it like Parikshit Maharaj did, right? That's all he did. Only hearing, nothing else. Jnana karmadhyanavritam, simply hearing. And that too for pleasing the Lord. Then simply by hearing one can get perfection. Okay. So this is about Shrotra Manobhiramat. Still that same verse is being discussed. Inia.
To distinguish persons who are bereft of these transcendental pleasures, Parikshit Maharaj has used the words Virajyeta Puman. The word Puman refers to any person, whether man, woman, or in between. Because of the bodily conception of life, we are subject to lamentation, but one who has no such bodily conceptions can take pleasure in transcendental hearing and chanting. Therefore, a person fully absorbed in the bodily concept of life is surely killing himself by not making spiritual progress. Such a person is called Pashugna. Especially excluded from spiritual life are the animal hunters who are not interested in hearing and chanting the holy name of the Lord. Such hunters are always unhappy, both in this life and in the next. It is therefore said that a hunter should neither die nor live, because for such persons both living and dying are troublesome. Animal hunters are completely different from ordinary karmis, and thus they have been excluded from the process of hearing and chanting. Vina Pashughnat. They cannot enter into the transcendental pleasure of chanting and hearing the holy name of the Lord.
Yes. So we discussed this point yesterday and the day before also about Pashugna. So we said Pashugna means uh, the killer of an animal, right? So the butcher. That's how we discussed. So of course you remember that verse that the sadhu who once visited a village and he blessed 4 different people in 4 different ways. He told the prince that Jivova, you live, you don't die. Don't die, you just live. Why? Because in life now you have an opulent life, you live with sense gratification, because after death you'll have to suffer. You enjoy here, then you'll have to pay for it afterwards. So just have a long life, because afterwards anyway you have to suffer. So now you live for a long life, don't die. Then for Muniputra, right? Muniputra means a brahmachari who is serving his guru in the ashram, undergoing severe austerities, living very simple. For him, his next life is very nice, because now he's performing austerities. What is the point in suffering so many austerities? As soon as you die, you'll go to higher regions. So you die immediately. You don't live. Don't live, you die. For Muniputra. That means this life is suffering for you, but next life is pleasing. For Rajaputra, Chiranjiva, you live for a long time, because this life is enjoyable. After this life, you have to suffer. Then, for a sadhu, a devotee, he said, Jivova Marova. For you, this life is also pleasing, afterlife is also pleasing. Because in this life, you are not interested in material sense gratification. And this one, Shrotra Manobhirama, right? He is always relishing Krishna consciousness, whether in this material body or liberated. Under all circumstances, for him, there is no material world, it's only spiritual world. So whether you live or you die, for you it's the same thing. Jivova Marova. You live or you die, no problem, it's the same thing. But for a butcher is an animal killer. For him, the blessing was you don't live, you don't die. Ma jiva ma mara. You don't live and you don't die also. Because your life is so miserable, always dealing with killing and blood and so it's horrible. Life is horrible for a butcher. And then after death, he goes to hell and he suffers. So what blessing can a butcher get? To live or to die? Living is also suffering, death is also suffering. This is Pashugna. Pashugna means the killer of an animal. But there's one more in this paragraph, there's one more point that's brought out. Anyone who is not concerned about his spiritual life, who does not take any interest in Krishna consciousness, he's actually killing himself, his soul. He's killing his soul. He's also Pashugna. So, Pashugna means one who is killing his soul by not taking any interest in spiritual emancipation. Such a person is also Pashugna, but in general, Pashugna means animal killer. Animal killer will not uh, relish, he won't be able to relish the glories of the Lord. So, and also, animal killers are separated completely from ordinary karmis, because in the previous paragraph we already read that karmis also relish. Sometimes they relish. They also find Krishna's pastimes to be pleasing, right? But and in karmis also the pashugnas, animal hunters, animal killers, butchers, they cannot relish. They are not the same. Karmis and butchers are not the same. That is why meat eating is strictly forbidden. It makes your heart very manda, dull to spiritual topics. Yes, Vina Pashugnat, right? So nobody can not relish. That means everyone will relish the glories of Uttama Shloka, the Supreme Lord, except unless he is a Pashugna, Vina Pashugna. Without being a Pashugna, nobody will not relish. That means without being a Pashugna, no one will not relish, means everyone except a Pashugna will relish Krishna's glories. But these Pashugnas, they cannot enter into the transcendental pleasure of chanting and hearing the holy name of the Lord. So if we are not relishing at all, you don't find any taste, or if anyone you see, he has no taste whatsoever in hearing or chanting about the glories of the Lord, means he is Pashugna. Okay. Mataji and Prabhuji are there in here?
No, Mataji.
Okay, Isha. I will take discussions and questions at 8 o'clock, just because we have to cover and everyone gets a turn. So please, at 8 o'clock I can take. Then those who have
Mataji,
to,
wanted to say that Pashugna comes, the meat eater also comes in the category of Pashugna.
especially the killer, not exactly the meat eater, but the killer is called Pashugna.
Because last time, one time we discussed this, and you said that they come in this category because they are also implicated for the killing of the animal, in spite
Yes,
of not killing themselves. Still,
certainly, that's there. Of course, they are not completely free. It's not that they are completely free, but specifically we are talking about the hunters of animals. Hunters, yes, they are also implicated, no doubt, they are also implicated. But specifically, we are talking about the hunters of animals. They will not relish. But yeah, that's why meat eating is also forbidden. Yeah. Okay. Isha.
The word Maharatha refers to a great hero who can fight alone against 11,000 other heroes. And the word Atiratha, as found in text 5, refers to one who can fight against an unlimited number. This is mentioned in the Mahabharata as follows: Ekadasha sahasrani yodhaye yastu dhanvinam अस्त्रशस्त्र प्रवीणश्च महारथ इति स्मृतः अमितान्योधयेद्यस्तु सम्प्रोक्तोऽतिरथस्तु सः. This is the description given in the Brihad Vaishnava Toshani by Srila Sanatan Goswami. Maya Manusyasya 10.1.17. Because of being covered by Yoga Maya, Nam Prakasha Sarvasya Yoga Maya Samavritah, Krishna is sometimes called Maya Manushya, indicating that although he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he appears like an ordinary person. A misunderstanding arises because Yoga Maya covers the vision of the general public. The Lord's position is actually different from that of an ordinary person. For although he appears to act like an ordinary man, he is always transcendental. The word Maya also indicates mercy, and sometimes it also means knowledge. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, full of knowledge, in wait, what?
The Lord is always full
The
of.
Lord is always full of all transcendental knowledge, and therefore, although he acts like a human being, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, full of knowledge. In his original identity, the Lord is the controller of Maya. Mayadhyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam. Therefore, the Lord may be called Maya Manusya, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, playing like an ordinary human being. Although he is the controller of both the material and spiritual energies, the Lord, what?
The Lord is the supreme. Okay.
although he is the controller of both the material and spiritual energies. The Lord is the Supreme Person, Purushottam, but because we are deluded by Yogamaya, he appears to be an ordinary person. Ultimately, however, Yogamaya induces even a non-devotee to understand the Lord as the Supreme Person, Purushottam. In Bhagavad Gita, we find two statements given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For the devotee, the Lord says,
Okay, can stop there.
um,
Okay, Maharatha. You know, when there is a battle in an army, you heard about Akshauhini, right? In Mahabharat, there were 18 Akshauhinis of Sena, soldiers that fought. So one Akshauhini consists of um, anyway, that's not the point here. There are soldiers, so many thousands of elephants and chariots and horses. That means warriors fighting on horseback, warriors fighting in chariots, warriors fighting on elephant backs, warriors fighting on foot, like this. There's a specific number for each Akshauhini. Like that, similarly, a particular warrior is known as either Maharathi, Athirathi, or Ardharathi, Rathi, like that. So, who is Maharathi, who is Athirathi, that is described there. So, one who is able to fight with one chariot fighter one on one is called Rathi. And Ardharathi means Ardha. He's able to fight with half a fighter. What do you mean that? That means he's not even capable of fighting with one fighter one on one on a chariot, right? Ardharathi. That is Ardharathi. And then there's Maharathi and Atirathi. So one person is who can fight with 10,000 soldiers, and the other one is who can fight with unlimited number. So Atiratha means one who is able to fight with unlimited number of soldiers, and Maharatha means one who is able to fight single-handedly with 10,000, or here it says 11,000 other uh, fighters, right, on chariot. He can fight single-handedly. That's Maharatha. Atiratha means unlimited number. So this is said in Mahabharat. So that was the verse. Then Maya Manushya, 17th verse of this chapter. So Krishna is called Maya Manushya. Maya Manushya means in another place he's called Gudaha Kapata Manusha. That means he's hiding his true position, right? He's hiding his true position, and he appears to be hiding means he's hiding from whom? From the non-devotees, right? So even though he's there, right in front of their eyes, they cannot understand his transcendental position. They think he's an ordinary person. He is a human being, right? Like Duryodhan. When Krishna came to as a peace messenger for the Pandavas to Hastinapur, Duryodhan tried to arrest Krishna. He tried to arrest Krishna. This, like this, Kamsa, he tried to kill Krishna. Jarasandh also. That means they are seeing Krishna right in front of their eyes, but still they don't recognize him as the Supreme Lord. Why they are not able to recognize him? Krishna is like sun, and so do you need a flashlight to see where the sun is? Sun is visible to everyone. Everyone should be able to see the sun. Krishna is like sun. So when he comes, everyone should be able to recognize him. He's obviously different from everyone else. Still, Krishna reserves the right of not showing himself. Although he is present, but still they are not able to recognize. Naham Prakashah Sarvasya Yogamaya Samavita. He covers himself with the veil of Yogamaya to the non-devotees. So they don't, even though they see him, they don't see him like that. So then they think he's a Manushya, he's a human being. Avajananti Mam Mudha Manushim Tanum Ashrita. right? Mudhas, those who are foolish, they think Krishna is a human being. He has taken shelter of a human body. Yeah. A misunderstanding arises because Yogamaya covers the vision of general public. It's not like Yogamaya is covering Krishna. Yogamaya is covering the vision of these conditioned souls, so they cannot see. Yeah. Okay. So then, therefore, the Lord may be called Maya Manushya, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, playing like an ordinary human being, although he is the controller of both the material and spiritual energies. He appears like that. The Lord is the Supreme Person, but because we are deluded by Yoga Maya, he appears to be ordinary. He is not ordinary. We think he is ordinary because our eyes are covered. Ultimately, Yogamaya induces even a non-devotee to understand the Lord as the Supreme Person, Purushottama. Okay, so then the next verse. Who will read next? Okay, Krishna Shish will read later. Usha Mataji, you can read. For the devotees, the Lord says, you can read from him.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat pranams, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all best to the assembled devotees. For the devotees, the Lord says,
Usha Mataji, you are able to read?
you're not hearing me, Mataji? Hello? Hare Krishna?
Okay, Narsimhalila Chaitanya Prabhu.
She is reading, Mataji.
I was reading.
Mataji, she's reading. We all can hear.
Okay, Priyanka Haripriya Mataji.
Hare Krishna?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Actually, I'm sorry, my speaker was turned off. I'm sorry. So, Usha Mataji, you're reading? I'm sorry, my speaker was turned off.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. No, you were fine. My speaker was turned off. Yeah, for the devotees.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled devotees.
Dandavat
For the devotees, the Lord says, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam tadami buddhiyogantam yena mam upayanti te. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Thus, for the willing devotee, the Lord gives intelligence by which to understand Him and return home back to Godhead. For others, for non-devotees, the Lord says, Mrityu sarva haraschaham. I am all plundering, inevitable death. A devotee like Prahlada enjoys the activities of Lord Nrsimhadev, whereas non-devotees like Prahlada's father Hiranyakashipu meet death before Lord Nrsimhadev. The Lord therefore acts in two ways, by sending some onto the path of repeated birth and death and sending others back home, back to Godhead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Next person. Meda is able to read? Maybe she's not there.
No, Mataji, she went to school.
Okay. Narsimhalila Chaitanya Prabhu.
The word Kala, meaning black, indicates the color of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Lord Ramachandra, who both look blackish, give liberation and transcendental bliss to the devotees. Among persons possessing material bodies, sometimes someone is able to subject to death to his own will. For such a person, death is almost impossible because no one wants to die. But although Bhishma Dev possessed this power, Bhishma, by the supreme will of the Lord, died very easily in the Lord's presence. There have also been many demons who had no hope of salvation, yet yet comes to attain salvation by the supreme will of the Lord. Not to speak of Kamsa, even Putana attained salvation and reached the level of Lord's mother. Parikshit Maharaj therefore was very eager to hear about the Lord, who was inconceivable qualities by which to give a liberation to anyone. Parikshit Maharaj, at the point of his death, was certainly interested in his liberation. When such a great and exalted personality as the Lord behaves like an ordinary human being, although possessing inconceivable qualities, his behavior is called Maya. Therefore, Lord is described as Maya Manushya. This is the opinion of Srila Jiva Goswami. Mu refers to mukti or salvation, and ku refers to that which is bad or very obnoxious. Thus, Muku refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who saves one from the bad condition of the material existence. The Lord is called Mukunda because he is not saves the devotee from material existence but offers him transcendental bliss in love and service. Hare Krishna. Yes, Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. As Keshava.
Hare Krishna. We'll end here. We will continue tomorrow. Okay? Because I have to discuss the 2 paragraphs that we read. So I'm going to end the class here. We will do tomorrow. Hare Krishna. All of you have a wonderful day.